Like, what are the skills that guys need?
Continuous learning never stops inside of sales. Like, I think it's a bit of both. If you have too much work ethic, sometimes you become a factory worker inside of sales, meaning like you're just pounding out the phones and then you're like, well, why isn't this working? Because you're working your numbers. Instead, you work your numbers, but you don't treat people like numbers.
Yeah, bro, I'm gonna hop right into it.
Yeah.
What's the secret? What's the secret to sales? How do you sell more?
I mean, I don't think there's a secret, you know this, to just selling. It's not like a one size fits all in selling. I think there's just a lot. Like, everybody has like the trick and the tactic and this one psychology trick is going to change you as a salesperson. I don't think, continuous learning never stops inside of sales.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's a bit of both. You've interviewed great salespeople on the show.
Yeah.
The problem is that messaging gets mixed. So one sales guy, you're going to say like, man, it's just all skills. Right? So he's like, you don't have to play your numbers game. And it's just like, you just got to be so skillful and you just got to be a sniper. And then you're going to hear somebody else. Sometimes my message comes off like this. Oh, it's just a shotgun. You got to contact a lot of people. It's a contact sport. And then you sit down and you think about the fucking sales rep that's sitting down and listening to these two guys and be like, okay, what do I do? Like, really, first of all, my thing is like, if you're broke, you do both.
Yeah.
Like, just do both. Don't think about it. Like, to me, sales is a bit of both. It's you play your numbers and you get good at the same time. You don't get to pick.
I've always said that.
Because usually the guy that picks like in skills, then he gets fucking lazy on the numbers. And that's like the death of every single sales rep that we see that is great. They're just like, I'm going to be a skilled sales rep. And then they slow down on their numbers. I'm like, the person that's a beast works their numbers and they get good at the same time.
Well, it's impossible to get good at something without putting in reps.
Right.
So like,
whether it's in front of the scenes or behind the scenes, yes.
Yeah.
Right? No, but some people are good, not great, born. Because the usual question is like, hey, are salespeople born to a certain extent?
Yeah.
Right? Like, they have good charisma, good attitude, they can listen well, they have a good smile, but it only takes them so far inside of sales. And then, you got to have your skill sets to catch up now.
So like, what are the skill sets that are required to be great at scale? Because like, let me take a step back, right? You said there are natural born things. How you look, how you act, your charisma, all those things. Okay.
I think you're a natural.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Yeah, because I don't really practice.
Yeah, I can tell, right? I think you're natural. Like, I think are you good at sales?
Yeah.
Right. And you don't train sales.
No.
And you're good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you would train, you would just get like 5-10 times better. Is it of interest to you? Maybe not to get 5 times better, because you have a whole horizontal of business that you have to do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, you don't want to be making $3 million a month as a lone sales wolf. Right. Mm-hmm. But you said the skills.
Yeah. Like, what are the skills that guys need?
I think the first one is, we're going to let's put it all three. I think one is work ethic is first one before anything. Like, you can't cheat it. Because when we start off the podcast, you're like, what's the secret sauce? I'm like, the first one is like, you can't cheat the work ethic. I think the second one is, if you have too much work ethic, sometimes you become a factory worker inside of sales, meaning like you're just pounding out the phones and then you're like, well, why isn't this working? Because you're working your numbers. Instead, you work your numbers, but you don't treat people like numbers. So I think like the second kind of phase is like, learn how to be a chameleon while being the workhorse. Meaning like, you'll see a little bit of both inside of sales. Sometimes you go way too far on the workhorse end. So they're just contacting, but they're not self-reliant. They don't listen to their conversations after, right? They don't go home and say, why did I sell the person? Why didn't I sell this person, right? Because there's no book in the world that can tell you, hey, by the way, when you make a deal, sit down and figure out why you made the deal. Fuck the sales training. Because there's going to be things that you do within a conversation that are just natural towards you that worked on a call. Like, you made a joke at some point, you're natural here, you open, and most sales reps don't do that. I'm like, the best thing you can ever do is just sit down and ask yourself, why the fuck did I sell that person today? And just go through the whole conversation, and you will start to see common denominators inside of your script where you're like, oh shit, I should do that again tomorrow. Why didn't I sell the person? Write it down. So I think the first one is workhorse. Second one is being a chameleon. Like, you'll see a lot of great sales reps, hey, they can blend in anywhere they're at, right? So don't just be the person that works the numbers, be a chameleon. Third thing is the discipline. It's like, you can be great at working your numbers. You could be great at blending in with people, but if you can't do it again next week, the whole sales process is shot, right? So.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. To reiterate what you said, like, I've interviewed a ton of great sales trainers, and I myself have never sat through sales training at any high level. It's all just kind of come natural from just doing a ton of negotiations and selling and everything else over the years. But I have said that before, that like, look, one of the ways that you get good at sales is just having commonality with people. And I think you're calling it being a chameleon. Mm-hmm. It's like, bro, if you could go into any environment and like find a way to connect with people, I mean, that's already half the battle.
Yeah, it's water. It's like water. It's just, Just blend in everywhere. It's like when we're maybe I grew up in Toronto, Canada. I grew up with a lot of people from a lot of different nationalities, right? Yeah. And my whole thing was always like learn a little bit from every single nationality because this can play so important future career. You want to go around the world, you want to speak, etc. Like I grew up with friends that are South Asian. I grew up with friends from India. I grew up from friends that are in South America, from Europe, etc. So every single time we go into a different country, I'm gonna speak a couple words on stage, make some jokes on stage in a different language, just to blend in with the culture and community. People love it, right? Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I think, being a chameleon is important. It's like you got to adapt to every single situation inside of sales.
Yeah. And I think that it matters to be very, diverse, because you just brought up diversity, kind of like, hey, I was around a lot of people. I understand how to connect with different nationalities, different ways of life. And like, even when you're like, oh, I'm from Toronto, my first instinct, and I guess as a sales guy, was to say, oh, I actually lived in Canada for a couple of years. I lived in Canada when I was playing baseball. I lived in Winnipeg. I lived in Vancouver. I played in, the East Side too, where we were at Trois-Rivières and we were at Ottawa and these other places, right? Like my first instinct is let's find commonality.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think like sometimes, hey, people use it as ammunition. It's like, as smart sales rep can be like, man, so what do you think about Vancouver? And I'm just thinking, oh, this guy just lives in Vegas. How the fuck does he know about Vancouver? Mm-hmm. So a smart sales rep would even sometimes say like, hey man, I used to play baseball in Vancouver. Yep. Because that's like just puking it on the conversation. Because you always want the person to lean on you inside of sales. So somebody smart would be like, man, so what do you think about Vancouver versus Toronto? Now I'm thinking, how the heck does Ryan know about Vancouver? Why does he know about Vancouver, West Coast versus East Coast? I'd probably ask you, well, what do you know about Vancouver, whatever the case is, right? Yeah. That's a whole thing that I always teach. Like, how do you say things that always elicit conversation inside of the business, right? Because that's what we are. We're conversationalists. Like, how do you keep the conversation going, right? Because then when you start talking, oh, I was from Vancouver, I played baseball, this is where people get rapport fucked up. Because rapport traditionally is taught that find points of commonality, which it is. It's great, but rapport from an actual level, if you were to look at rapport from like, if you were to zoom out, rapport actually means a process of engagement. That's what rapport means. So if we're listening to one of our reps calls and he's like, yeah, man, I'm in rapport. Well, why? Because, they had a dog and I started talking about my dog. Their dog was a German Shepherd. My dog's a Border Collie. And then you start bragging about your Border Collie because this is what sales reps do. They start bragging about what they've done, where they played baseball, blah, blah. Yeah. And then they start talking for 5 minutes. I said, dude, you just almost one up the prospect now.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you one up them and now you're out of rapport, but a rapport is actually just a process of engagement. So you can literally look at sales reps conversation, be like, dude, you're completely out of rapport. Look at the process of engagement. You said one thing or you spoke for 20 minutes. They said, yeah. And then you spoke for another 20 minutes. That's dead communication. It's like a heartbeat where it's like, boom, 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 boom. That's perfect heartbeat. Yeah. Dead heartbeat is beep, boop. Like that's a sales rep's conversation when they're out of rapport. So I say rapport is actually the process of engagement. And it's actually probably the factor of somebody saying there's something about this person that I just like. That's rapport. Like at the end of the day, there's something about this person that I just like.
You can't
then I'll
explain
open up. Yeah, there's something about this person that I just like.
Yeah.
Right? So I always ask people, I'm like, you deal with reps 24/7. Man, I had a difficult client. They're just right now not ready to, make the decision. They're not ready to pull the trigger. That was the only objection. Yeah, man. I said, let me ask you a question. And nobody asks themselves like this as a sales rep. Dude, did the person like you? Like no sales rep asks himself this question. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you think the person fucking liked you? The guy's like, well, yeah, I guess. I said, that's your problem. You said you guess. I'm like, how the heck do you feel like he's going to buy from you if you just said you guess?
Yeah.
I'm like, you didn't ask yourself, like, do you even like yourself if you were listening to yourself in that side of the conversation? I'm like, people, of course, you've heard it. People have to know, like, and trust you. Okay, great. Did the person like you?
Yeah.
You didn't ask yourself this question. Like, just the most basic things. Well, how would he like me? Man, did you take more interest into the guy? Whatever it was. Did you feel like in your intuition, which is another faculty that people lose inside of sales because they get so strategic. I'm like, did you feel in your intuition that the person actually liked you, right? So I think that's missed. Like just even small things, bro, not even from verbal. A guy last week at a conference, I made this joke because he came up to me and he smelled like crap. And like it smelled like he didn't shower for a week. Okay. And he's asking me about sales advice. And I've ran into this situation We skipped this, but I opened up one of probably the first sales agencies in Toronto, Canada, before all these sales agency things were popping. We opened up the first sales agency in 2017. We had 2 big offices like this, which we still have till today, but it's outsourced to my business partner now. But I had to go through this with my reps 24/7. They would ask me something, and I would look at them like, dude, your breath smells like garlic. And they would say, well, what do you mean? I'm like, imagine you're talking to a client.
Real estate investors, are you tired of getting low quality leads and talking with sellers who've been hit up by everyone else? Well, what if you could get inbound leads of motivated sellers on autopilot without any effort? Well, that's exactly what we do at Lead Kitchen. Over the years, I've spent millions of dollars on direct to seller marketing. I've done PPC, I've done TV commercials, I've done cold calling, text messaging, direct mail. I've done the pay per lead services. And look, all of them can work. A lot of them don't. At the end of the day, I have found a new method that is getting me better results than I've ever seen in my career. I'm getting lower cost per leads than ever before, and it's not just in Las Vegas, it's across the country. And so if you want to take advantage of this new innovative marketing strategy that takes no effort on your end, I want you to go to leadkitchen.com and book a call with my team today. Imagine having my team running your marketing with the same leads that I'm getting in my business. That's what you can have. So just go to leadkitchen.com today and book a call.
And you're talking, and you're sitting down with the guy, and you think the guy doesn't have money and all he could think about is fucking giving you gum. I'm like, he's literally physically distracted, not just because how bad you are at verbal, but even at a physical standpoint. If something's off about you, I'm distracted. Now I don't even like you. I'm thinking about like, how do I get this guy deodorant? Yet that guy last week, I'm like, dude, I'm thinking about what deodorant should I buy you instead of the question that you're asking me right now. I'm completely distracted. And I was giving him this scenario because I said, people do this from a physical aspect, from a verbal aspect inside of sales. We distract our clients. They don't like us. They're thinking about something different. And then boom, they give you an objection because they don't want you to make you feel bad. Right? So.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's talk about that, right? Like appearance and hygiene, other things. Like it makes me think about my boys, Bradley and Andy Elliott. Brad always talks about how breath,
right?
You better freaking, like that dude is always spraying his mouth with his Listerine things.
Right.
And then Andy.
But he has to, because he smokes a lot of cigars.
That's true.
Right?
Right.
Like that's important. Like I do too. I smoke cigars. So I know, like I smoke cigars, drink espresso. You have to be conscious of that.
Okay.
Right.
I need to have my breath, because I was going to say I don't smoke a ton of cigars, but I do drink espresso.
Yeah.
And then Andy is getting famous for saying you got to have a six-pack and you got to look good.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on just physical appearance when it comes to sales?
So important.
Okay.
Just like,
what if you're over the phone?
Pardon?
The phone reps.
Well, you got to think about it. His message is probably not, you have to have a ripped 8 pack to become a millionaire. The message is this: you just got to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
That's what he's really saying at the end of the day. Like people, obviously it's a marketing message, it's a branding message, but then if you feel like crap about yourself, your energy is always going to be low. It doesn't matter how much money you make. So I think if it's even over the phone, you still got to feel good about yourself. Like if you look down and you got a gut, but you're still making thousands of dollars, you're still not going to feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
So I think that's the message more so of anything. But yeah, I think, keeping yourself physically fit. I travel 24/7, but the first thing that I always do is I take care of my body first before my business.
How do you think, though, I mean, obviously, like, feeling good about yourself is going to make you more confident. It's going to give you better energy. You can work harder. You can do all those things. Do you think that when you are talking with somebody, let's say you're on your A game, but you're sloppy, right? Body, clothes, the way you dress, stuff doesn't fit properly. How much of an effect does that have?
Yeah, 150%. I mean, everybody knows this watching. It's a representation of your business.
Yeah.
Of course it's a representation. Like, I don't think if the person doesn't have the time in the morning, to, make sure everything's clean on them, make sure they have, a nice haircut or their beard's trimmed. Like if they have a big beard and it's sloppy and their beard's hanging inside of their mouth or whatever the case is, it's like, if that person treats themselves like that and their car looks like shit, of course, it's just like it's a representation of what they have on the back end. Of course, 150%.
Yeah.
I think hygiene's important. Yeah. I think it's something that not a lot of people talk about. Like it's super, super important. Like whoever says, you shouldn't judge people. People are fucking judging you right away. Within 2 seconds, they're judging you. Way you walk, talk, smell, everything. Yeah. So I always make sure everything's on point so there's no distractions, right? Now, I will say one thing. I do think skill sets override a lot of things. Meaning, what I mean by that is this. I think when you're the fucking best, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So when you're the best, it doesn't matter. Because I've watched billionaires and millionaires that don't give a shit. They'll show up how they want to show up, but they're skilled. Like I'll go.
They're already established though. They've already made it.
Correct. And at the end of the day, confidence really comes from you knowing that you know your shit. That's where true confidence comes from. I'll go anywhere in the world, and if I have to pull up on stage in a hoodie and shorts, I know my shit. You can't get me off.
Yeah.
You can get me to speak about sales for 24 hours. You can't crank me. I can't screw it up. And that's, I think, where confidence comes from. Yeah. I think hygiene, personal hygiene, staying fit, I think that's all important too for yourself. But at the end of the day, true confidence is knowing that nobody can strip away anything from you. Like, you'll see the most unconfident people try to show off a little bit bigger, try to buy the bigger watch or whatever the case is in front of people, or try to rock it in front of people. And I say, that's renting confidence. True confidence, like, I have confidence because I'm fucking good at what I do.
Yeah.
I'll go anywhere and talk about it.
But your confidence is based on past track record, right? I think what a lot of these guys try to do is they say, oh, well, I see this guy, he dresses like this and does this, therefore I can. It's like, no, you can't. Because you're a bum. You haven't accomplished anything yet.
Correct. Yes, correct.
So how do you fake it till you make it? How do you develop confidence if you are a bum? Like, you haven't accomplished anything yet.
Yeah, it's going back to your skill sets. It's like, focus on the things that nobody can ever strip away from you. A lot of people focus they're going to focus on a result. I say, okay, focus on something like I said, I just opened up like a sales role play community or whatever the case was. I say I do that because I say if you have the confidence that you can go anywhere and sell anything regardless of what somebody's going to say to you, I think that builds your confidence, if anything, especially inside of sales. So we're talking about sales for a second. It's like, know your shit inside of sales. Maybe you don't have the money yet, but if a lot of people don't take a lot of action, low confidence, low energy, low action, because they're actually scared about what somebody's going to say when they say no to their product. So they don't say anything at all. Like, when you're scared, at the end of the day, like, objection handling is not just to be like a ninja. It's to actually increase your level of action on the front end. So if you're already scared and you have anxiety towards somebody saying, man, this is super expensive, I don't want to pay for something like this, and really deep down inside a sales rep is scared because he doesn't know how to master that objection 3 to 4 different ways, he's probably going to have low energy and low confidence. He might not even make the amount of contacts that he has to make. But somebody that knows how to deal with everything and anything is going to talk to anybody about their product.
Yeah.
That's why I think skills are so important, because when you have the skills, it builds the confidence. You have the confidence, you talk to more people about your business. The people that don't have it, because like, I'll talk to anybody because I'm not scared about what somebody's going to say. I'll go on a live stream whenever. I'm not scared what people are. I'll do a Q&A every single day about sales on my Instagram. So that's high levels of action. If I just said I do a live stream every single day for the last 5 fucking years, that means I know a lot of shit about my business.
Is that what you've done?
Every single day.
Wow.
Yeah, nobody can beat me on streams. That's how I built up my whole brand. Yeah.
Just live streaming what?
2018 probably started. 2018 for 6 years now?
What do you talk about?
Everything, bro. I just Q&A, just like while we're wrapping it up right now. I'll just go on. I'll be like, hey, ask me your questions. Talk about anything. See, the way I see it, it's like, business gives you, listen, I'm great at marketing and branding. Mm-hmm. Great at it. And it's because I'm such a good listener, meaning all my content does fucking great. If you go to all my content, it gets shared and saved a lot of times because I listen to what people are telling me. And I think you're a great marketer and brander when you listen good to your audience. And I'm in sales. So what that means is when I listen to a lot of questions that people ask me at conventions, conferences, when people come up to us and they chat it up with this, man, what would you do here and here? It's great content for your business. Like, when people don't know what to post, just listen to what your community or what your customers are telling you. And it's just great to go back online and just go talk about it. So when you're like, what do you talk about on Instagram? It's probably what happened throughout the day.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know what to post. I'm like, yeah, it's just because you're a robot throughout the day. So you're looking what to post, but it's all within your day. Even if you're a mother of 3 and you think nothing has happened, she's like, well, Daniel, I don't know how to start my brand. I don't know what to post. There was probably a lot of things. If you just sat down, your son wanted to go to baseball, but he had to do his chores first. How did you convince your son to do his chores first before he went to baseball? Perfect. Go online now and go teach him online how you just went to go influence your son to do something like that. It's just that people walk like robots inside of their life. So me, I just, like, even if somebody's like, man, how do I build a sales brand? How do I talk online to build a sales brand? Dude, it's all there. Just listen to your customers. My best content has always been, the biggest objection inside a business. And then you just go say it online and everybody's thinking the exact same thing. How do I deal with it? It's like, if you get an objection inside of sales, perfect. Go answer it with the customer, then go back online and go answer the objection online. You sell life insurance. Guy says, man, I don't buy life insurance. I'm too young. Okay, go deal with it with the guy, deal with the rebuttal. Now you go online and you go answer that objection online. It's a perfect piece of content. You'll never run out.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. So, I've had Cardone here, and one thing Cardone always says is that marketing is superior to sales. And in his words, he calls it marketing is senior to sales. At the end of the day, you need leads to work. That's right. Number one. But number two, if marketing does its job, sales gets significantly easier. Brand marketing.
Different though.
Yeah.
I think they're different.
I agree.
Like I think this is where people fuck it up.
Okay.
Like, and I know he means branding, because branding will play into marketing.
Yeah.
Like the biggest, and I agree. I think your brand walks in the room before you walk in the room, right? Like that's the whole goal. Is like, how do you make Daniel G enter the room before Daniel enters the room, so I don't have to prove myself? Sales is easier. Sales becomes harder when your branding shit. When your marketing's and branding is shit, sales is harder. You have to convince people more. When branding and marketing's high, sales is easy. We figured that out too. Build a name, sales is easy, right? And the reason why I just said marketing and branding is different is because I think branding's the long-term play with no call to action, and it's a trust building factor that nobody can ever see. It's an invisible line, and most people online suck at marketing and branding because they don't know. Like, when they go post something, they're just like, oh, this is marketing and branding, so I'm just gonna post it. No, what is it? Because marketing is, hey, might give them some value and there's a call to action. Now it's marketing. Branding is, hey, you're just gonna give the value, no call to action. It's an invisible line of trust, and it just builds trust. It just builds your resume. To make marketing, when you do market, billboard, call to action post with a little CTA at the bottom, DM me the word freedom, and then it goes into many channels. That's marketing. That's not branding. And when people don't know, like, hey, this is gonna be a branding post and a market post, they just spit it all out. And I think the best people in the world made marketing and sales easy because their branding so freaking strong. Mm-hmm. They don't do every single other post as a call to action. There's just a lot of value in that. To me, that's branding, right? Yeah. So I think branding's like the invisible line of trust that nobody sees. That's what you build over the next 5-10 years. It's hard, and people don't realize that branding is not transactional, and that's where they get emotional, and that's when they quit on their brand. Marketing is a little bit more transactional. Make post, call to action, boom, it gets into the sales funnel.
Yeah.
Right?
What's interesting is WealthCon is coming back to Las Vegas, July 19th to the 21st. And man, if you are a real estate investor, you have got to attend this event. We are going to have some of the best in the game coming, guys like Brandon Turner and many others. This is going to be my favorite one yet. We're going to be at the Caesars Palace. Come hang out with over 1,000 investors and entrepreneurs who are trying to scale their business. You might meet your next private lender. You might meet your next partner. You might meet your next employee or the next person who's going to give you a deal. WealthCon is an event like no other. We have done it every single quarter now for the last 18 quarters straight because people keep coming back because they are getting results and they are having life change. Not only is it a great business event, but we also have a worship service. We have a pastor come. It is so cool. There's no event like it. So if you want to come, make sure you go to wealthcon.org and get your ticket today. Once again, that's wealthcon.org. I did my thing the opposite of how most do. Like, most go straight into sales because you got to make money, and they go into marketing and call to actions and stuff. I got on social media in 2020, started making YouTubes and TikToks and other things. And, it was all organic content. And then all of a sudden I started to see people wanted to invest more with me. People wanted to buy education. I didn't even really sell education before then. I got more deal flow for real estate and all this good stuff. And then it just led to more and more opportunities, right? And so for the first probably like 3 years, it was all organic call to actions, and that made all the money. And then the last couple of years, we've got into, let's just call it true marketing, where we're running ads and funnels and all these different things. And it's an interesting stage now. My opinion is we're like in this weird time now where it's like, well, clearly, if you want to scale and grow, you got to have branding and marketing, right? Because I think these guys who come to try to just straight market from the jump and they have no content, no trust or anything, they struggle because like ad costs and everything are just too high. And then on the flip side, I think that you can definitely just create organic content and brand and all these things. But what I'm starting to now do is like, all right, I'm going to try and just keep all my content based on value, like we're talking about. And instead of mixing in all these call to actions like I used to do, I'll just do that with paid ads. I'm just going to have my paid ads be all my call to actions, and people understand it's an ad, right? And I'll just kind of like let the two. So if you ever went to my profile, there's not going to be like all these call to actions, right? But you are going to see me selling through the paid ads. That's kind of like the, I guess, method that I've been using lately. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it because, I think, and regardless, it doesn't matter because obviously you're strategical about it. It's that the people that you're branding to and, you're getting all your profile visits and all the likes and the comments, you're just retargeting them anyhow. Yeah. So your brand remains sexy.
Yeah.
It's like so many brands are, you know, a turnoff nowadays because every single post, there's a call to action on the post. And
and that's what I was getting at. I used to do that because we didn't have any paid marketing. So therefore, if you're not doing any paid and everything's organic, well, at some point you got to do your call to actions to make money. So where are they going to be? Right. You could do them in stories. You could do them in mini chat and DMs and, you know, all that stuff. But I'm even shying away from that now on the organic side.
Like not even posting on your stories or etc.
We will, but like way less.
Got it. Yeah, sure.
And I'm just focused on the paid being the call to actions.
Yeah, that was my whole business. I just focused on like, well, I built up, my intention was, I mean, just like everything, like my sales training just picked up momentum. Like I built up an agency first, like my sales agency or high ticket sales agency first.
How did that work?
So, what do you mean?
Like, were you guys selling reps? Were you just selling training? What were you doing?
No, it's a high ticket sales agency model that you see a lot right now. So back when, I would say 2017, 18, when the coaching space really started just taking a boom and everybody started, you know, going heavier on social media. When I was done, so I was in medical device sales and I was finishing up that, and I seen an open where I said, oh shit, you know, there's a lot of these coaches. I got a lot of salespeople that are friends. They used to follow me on social media. I had 10,000 followers. Sorry, let me open up this agency. I'm just gonna start being the matchmaker between coach, salesperson.
Yeah.
And
that's placing reps.
Yeah, that's all we did, and we kept them in house. That was our dominant model.
You still
we smashed everybody because all our stuff was in house.
Got it. Yeah. So how would it work? I'm a business owner.
Yeah. So you got your WealthCon.
Yep.
Let's say you got.
I need reps to sell WealthCon.
Yeah. So exactly what we do. We'd say, okay, great. What does the offer look like? What's the attention, paid, etc.? We'd just go through the whole thing, see what you needed, and then we would place reps inside of your business, but we would have them in-house inside of our office. So we start off with one office location in Toronto, Canada, then we scaled it to 2, and we just have hundreds of reps inside of our offices running Zoom calls and phone calls all day for different offers.
So would I be like renting them essentially, or
we have the reps? So your contracts with world-class sales agency. We have the reps, pay us, we pay our reps.
So it would be like a 6-month deal. Hey, we're gonna outsource you
However
guys.
long, yeah, you usually need that. I mean, we take on longer contracts usually. People that are just like have a product that's gonna stay forever. Right. But we always wanted to keep them in house. So we have virtual teams, but we tested both. We split tested both, and nothing will ever beat in-house. Especially if there's great trainers in-house. Like if there's great management in-house and great trainers in-house, our high ticket sales have outperformed any virtual teams.
Yeah, let's talk about that, right? Because this idea of like the virtual high ticket closer was this, and we had a lot of virtual guys too.
Yeah.
Today we basically don't have anyone virtual on sales anymore because I'm a believer in in-house as well. Why is that? Why is in-house so much better than virtual?
You just environment within itself, like just environment, everything. Like you have to be around people that want to win and grow. It's just like sales is all about flow. And the moment you stop the flow, like you don't have to work when you're at home, and you could just stop working for 6 hours. The person can stop working for 6 hours and then they can get in a bad rut. They don't have to show up. They can move over their calendar, etc. But when you're in an office, you have to show up. You know what I mean? You don't even have to rely on motivation. You have to show up. So to me, it's like the office environment inside of sales, it works just because everybody around you keeps you accountable to show up inside of the business.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, to me, it's just about first the show up is there. Second, it's the training. Like I think every single morning our reps would come in, they would get trained by us in person. The management would be there. Everything's just quicker. Now our training's in the morning, role play in the morning. It's a lot more efficient. People are role playing in person. We don't ever want to lose like the in-person experience because I feel like that's being lost too now. Like a lot of people don't know how to talk to people in person. I don't want to develop my reps like that. I don't want them to be, weird introverts just coddled in at home. I want to develop my reps to have still great communication. So even when we go on the road and we have to talk to people on the road, they know how to look at somebody. They know how to shake somebody's hand. Like if you look at people nowadays, like the young millennial audience, they don't even know how to talk to people anymore.
Yeah.
They don't. Like I was talking to Steve about this, one of my videographers yesterday. We were at one of the malls here in Vegas. I'm like, man, like this guy was greeting me with his like eyes at the floor, 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid. And he's a sales rep in the store. Like this is crazy. Like these people are just on their phones. They don't talk to nobody anymore. So I just didn't want to create that environment either for my salespeople.
Makes it easier to stand out.
Yeah. It is. It's
just doing the basics.
We were just talking about that yesterday. I'm like, dude, we don't do nothing great.
The competition's not very good.
It's not very good. All these people that are like, yo, that's a great sales trainer and stuff. I'm like, man, there used to be a lot of these back then. Then everybody's just fucking silent. Nobody's out there anymore. Nobody talks to people anymore.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get up in person. Everybody is trying to do the whole online thing. Like, even if you're a marketer, a brander, you're a coach online, like, even to me, it's so fucking easy because people ask me, why do you stay on the road so much? I do more events than anybody right now in the space. There's nobody to do more events in this.
How many events are you going to do this year?
We'll touch at least over 100 plus, right? For every single industry, every single, direction and content inside of sales. But the reason being, it's like, because like, if you look at it, I love getting a lot of attention online because I know it supports the brand. But if you look at what every coach is doing, everybody's just staying comfortable in their podcast like we're doing now, and they never do the events or get on the road, etc. And I say, what builds an online presence now is your offline game more than anything. Because like the brain, when somebody's watching you online, they want to see you with other people because they're going to say, oh, Bob is with Jeremy, Bob is with Bob, like another person. Okay, now that person's validated. So I know now that everybody does content is saturated. So this thing that you can't fake is like community and culture. So now as a brand online, you have to think like, how do I get in front of a lot more people? Maybe, okay, you don't have the ability to do events like us and you can't speak on stage yet. But if you're the lone wolf, like, how do you get in front of your customers? How do you interview your customers? How are you interviewing your team? Are you around your team, etc.? Because I think that helps the online game a lot more now.
Yeah.
Me being around a lot of people help build the trust online, I think, 10 times stronger.
Yeah.
Right?
I've thought about this a lot too, because we were talking before this about WealthCon and how we do it once a quarter, right? And it's a lot of work to go put on 1,000+ person event every quarter, right? And, to be truthful financially, it makes money, but it's not like the best use of resources, right? But it's like, how do you quantify what's happening in the grand scheme of brand and the big picture by constantly delivering that people want to keep coming back?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's like, impact and events are just so hard to measure.
Yeah.
But it's working. Like, you have to know this as a business owner, like on the back end, the brand. Like, I remember.
Wealth Builders, you might have recently heard that we launched Wealthy University, which has access to all of our courses. You get weekly calls with me and our team. You also get access to special trainings, many of which have been done by people who are on this podcast, as well as recordings of WealthCon and other workshops and events that we've done. But even though that was good, I actually want to make it risk-free for you to try for yourself. I'm giving all of the podcast listeners a 14-day free trial by simply going to wealthyuniversity.com/podcast. So if you go check out that link, you'll be able to get access to your 14-day free trial right now. You'll be able to go check out the course. You'll be able to go check out calls, trainings, and everything else, and then see if it's a fit for you. There's literally no risk to doing it. So go to wealthyuniversity.com/podcast and go get your free 14-day trial of Wealthy University today.
Very early on in my career, there was one guy, one of the number one sales trainers back then in the space. And I go to him and I started getting attention. I'm like, man, how do you just not even from an ROI perspective, like how do you quantify it from a financial perspective, doing events, etc. Like, how do you just almost quantify the impact? Like what you're doing? He's like, you never will.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, it's crazy. Like, when you get so big, he's like, you'll never be able to even just quantify the impact, right? You just got to know that you're doing. But I'm like, yeah, I guess it makes sense even from an ROI standpoint. What you're doing is almost like you're building trust. Maybe on the event side, sometimes people even lose on events.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. Oh, most people do.
Yeah. If you don't have, and in the beginning we did too, right? Like, in the beginning you lose on events. But again, I think it's, a lot of people don't want to step up to the plate, invest the money. We spent millions and millions in travels in the beginning, and my speaking fee was nothing. Right? Like,
you're just building brand.
Yeah, it's just building brand. It's the same thing. It's like, if people said come out to Vegas to do an event, I would do it. And even if nobody was saying to come out, we'd just say, fuck it, let's go do a workshop in Vegas. Even if 25 people show up, let's go get in front of people.
Yeah.
Because I know everybody, if you look really at the greats in this space, they were always in front of people. All the greats. Go tie back, like you talked about Grant, right?
Yeah.
Do people know Grant, who he was 30 years ago? Because they see him now online in the last 15 years. But the Grant Cardone that people don't see as to why he's so good right now is whatever it was, 10, 15, 20, 30 years on the road, every single week at a dealership training people.
Yeah.
Like that's how it built up. He was on the road with people, constantly training people, right? And I think he probably put in more miles than any other freaking sales trainer. And that's how he built up his brand, built up his following, built up his relationships to people, support him online, etc. So you can't fake it, man. Everything can be faked online right now. But you can't fake people. You know, I tell people, create a community in person, even if it's 5 people.
I don't think you can also fake longevity,
right?
You know, at the end of the day, you see a lot of flash in the pans, but to your point, a guy like Grant, you can't be around 30 years later if you're not doing something good. So
that comes to, you know where that comes from though? Bro, I was just saying this on a live, I think it was a couple days ago. I was thinking about, you know, I've seen so many people come into space and then leave fast, right? Like 6 months, a year, and then boom, they're gone. They ran like this schemy thing and then poof, disappear, but they were so cool for a year. And even now, like sometimes we look at people and man, that guy's so cool and everybody edifies this guy. And then I say, okay, there's a level to influence. And the way I look at it is this, because you're not fooling me. You'll fool somebody else, but you're not like, when I see somebody online, I know if the guy's real or not right away. And I think there's a level where you can influence and sell the C players and the B players. But when it comes time to, when I'm picking somebody to be on my stage, you're not fucking tricking me. So, and I think that's where the longevity comes in. Does the A players put you on?
Yeah.
That's where the longevity comes in, because I'm like, yeah, but this guy ain't gonna last, because like, we wouldn't put him on our stage. He ain't gonna last. He could fool all the B and C players, but it's gonna die because the A players are gonna eventually smell his shit. And that's the only way the big people in our space have built their brand is leveraging other people's credibility.
Yeah.
Is bouncing off of each other, sharing the audience, etc., like we're doing right now. And I said, there's no way in hell this guy's gonna fake it. The A players are going to smell it. So that's the only way he can grow, is he has to leverage other people's audiences and collaborate with the bigger audiences. And that's where the stoppage hits right there.
Yeah.
You can influence the C's and B's, but when you get to the A's, the A players can smell it in 2.5 seconds. And that's usually where it dies.
Yeah.
Dies out.
No, I'm with you 100%.
Right?
So it's funny because obviously you're known as a sales trainer, right? And we spent the last few minutes talking a lot about brand and influence and marketing. Because they really do go hand in hand together, right? One cannot happen without the other. And, you know, to go back to the sales side of things, because this is something that most businesses struggle with, you know, they're like, man, dude, I just can't figure it out. You know, these guys don't make enough calls. They're not held, you know, accountable, training. Like, what should normal KPIs be for sales reps? Because you talked about, dude, we train every day for an hour. Okay, like, let's start there. That's the beginning of every great sales rep's day, right? Mm-hmm. What happens after that? Like, what are we holding them to metric-wise?
Yeah. The 3 most important metrics is contacts, show-ups, and then closing percentages. To me, those are always going to be your 3 divisions of business, because then you can always...
define that for like people who don't know.
For sure. Yeah. So contacts, outreach, like how is your outreach every single day? It's your numbers, right? Yeah. It's like, is the person putting up their numbers, number 1? And then, you know, your second stage is, okay, well, I'm outreaching to people. Let's say Ryan gives me a list of 300 people, right? And they're just name, email, phone number, opt-ins, and they're not even calendar booked meetings for people to buy. Yeah. And you're like, hey, John, hey, Dan, this is day number 1. Go reach out to your people. Okay, it's contacts. Is he reaching out to 300 people? Is it like, how much contacts is he doing? Can he increase his contacts? Number 1, like, can he do more within the time spent? What is he doing? Because I think, you know, in the beginning, like, it's belly to belly interaction of how you're measuring a rep. Like, what is their belly to belly rate? Like, belly to belly with somebody, conversations every single day. Because sales reps spend half their time on bullshit that is not talking to people. And I think that's not a productive sales rep. A productive sales rep, you ask them, hey, what is your time spent talking to individuals, right? Like like productive time speaking to individuals. So contacts were number 1. Number 2, when I said booked meetings, like show ups, that's super important. It's like you can do a lot of contacts, but how many of it is sticking? Because a lot of people throw shit on the board. Let's say just from a prospecting standpoint, it's like, why aren't the meetings sticking? Are you just throwing it up? Let's say if you're a setter and you're trying to set it up, and now I'm trying to set up for Ryan, but Ryan has now a 50% show rate. Okay, why is that now? Because that's not even going on closing, which is stage number 3 to increase the percentage of closing. Okay, but why aren't they showing up? Okay, well, maybe people, you know, maybe they're throwing shit on the board. Maybe the person's scared. Like, there's so many things that can happen, because I don't know if you see sometimes different show up rates for different reps inside of the business.
I've just seen show rates just drop, period, like across lots of industries now.
Right. Well, I think that comes from now human to human interaction that you got to be a little bit better at, skilled at.
Yeah.
Like, because like if a robot, I love AI. I love follow up. I love CRM systems and follow up and do text messages. We use it inside of our business, follow up messages. But I think that a great sales rep has the ability to lock in a meeting and make that meeting interesting enough where the person wants to show up, right? So, but that comes into a point where like, does the sales rep have a good balance of making those meetings stick? So what's the balance towards that? Here, I'll give it to you for 2.5 seconds right now. So if I wanted to make a meeting stick, you have to have the fine balance between somebody not feeling like they have to do something on the phone call because then they feel claustrophobic and they don't show up. But then also with this, like the whole point of getting somebody on a phone call is making them feel like they can exit the phone call. So if I were to bring you, let's say on a high ticket call and I'm selling you your mastermind, I'm Daniel selling Ryan's mastermind, and I'm just the setter trying to tee it up for Emil on the phone call. I want to make Ryan feel that he can come on the call, get all the information, and leave the call. Now, some people would be like, yeah, but then he's not qualified. No. That's what makes Ryan show up, because now I put Ryan in the sense of control that he can get everything and buy nothing, and that's a prospect's job. Show up on the call, get everything, buy nothing. So you give the invite to the call, and they make them feel like they have the exit so their shoulders are dropped. Where most people would do the difference in every part of their script. Not even because I would say, hey, Ryan, man, can't wait to meet with you at 4:30. That way we could show you everything that Ryan has going on inside of the mastermind to see if you're the right fit for us and we're the right fit for you. That way, whenever you are ready to make a financial, investment or change the way you're doing your finances inside of your business, you have us in your back of the pocket for the future, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Great, yes. So now Ryan feels like he can come on the call, take everything from the call and leave the call. Shoulders are dropped. That's the whole point of a great sales rep. Constantly drop the shoulders, drop the defense. It goes even on closing. You move in, because I want to make sure my guys are good at booking meetings. They make it curious enough. They make the prospect always feel like they're in control, right? With the sense of, oh, there's going to be, curiosity. They still have to show up. There's something for me showing up in this deal. A good balance of, I'm going to get something out of this deal, but I don't have to make a commitment. Because the moment a prospect feels like they have to buy something, sometimes they feel scared more than ever today, and then they just don't show up to the calls.
Yeah.
Right? And then closing was the third one. So when you said, what about closing? That's another percentage that I look at is, okay, it's not what we can do new, it's what we can always do better. How do we increase the percentage of closing? So like, why? Because closing is people blurb a whole sales process. When they're like, man, I'm just weak at closing. My question is like, where? Like when you say you suck at closing or when you say you suck at sales, it's always where, like why? Where in the closing process? Closing is so big because closing starts from the beginning. It doesn't just start from towards the end they get a little skeptical. Dude, maybe they're still not dropped. Like maybe they're still not talking to you. Of course, closing becomes hard if you try to close something where they don't even see the value on because you don't have the right pain points. And maybe you don't have the right pain points because you didn't open up the right way inside of the conversation. Like you will see, I'll give it to you here what I mean right now, just in 2 seconds. If you're in the beginning of a conversation and you're telling somebody they have to make a decision towards the end of the call, which I see happen a lot. Okay, well, just think of it. It sounds great. Like, by the way, a bunch of the sales training shit sounds great. It sounds good. But then you look at it from a conversational aspect. It's like, what does the prospect feel? When we go online and we see all these cool closes online and this guy's hardcore closing somebody, I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. It looks good too. But first of all, that guy can only do it because it's him. Number one, like you are not him, dude. That's why he could do it. He's doing it because he's using everything, his confidence, his charisma, the 55 years of training. And like the person can feel that guy's heart that it now doesn't even become strategy. The guy's like, I'm buying into this guy. This guy can lead me better than I can lead myself. I say yes to this guy, which people aren't even thinking about. But the training, when people say something like, hey man, towards having a phone call, I just need you to make sure that you're either a yes or a no decision. Now think of how the prospect feels. Fuck, I gotta go through this whole conversation and I have to say yes or no to this guy. Boom, guard goes up. So even within the first 2.5 seconds, you suck at closing just from the first 2.5 seconds because I don't even have you dropped. You can't even have a conversation with the person because they're like, fuck, I have to make a commitment towards end this call. And they're probably only thinking about that. So their defense is high. When in reality, your only thing as a sales rep is to, be a conversationalist. So I think a master in an opening a conversation doesn't make a client feel claustrophobic and says, hey, by the way, Ryan, I just want to better understand who you are and what you do to see if we can actually support you and help you. If we could, I'll definitely show you what we have inside of the program. That way, whenever you are ready, right? Whenever you are ready to change your investments or do something different inside of the future, you have us in the back of your pocket for the future, whether it's in the next 6 months to a year down the road. Now, what does Ryan feel? Oh shit, I could be in a conversation with this guy. I could talk to this guy, which is the most important, about everything I love, everybody I fucking hate about my business. And then I can just analyze all the information and get off this call. Boom, I got your shoulders dropped. I can get you to talk. If I can get you to talk, I can get your pain. If I can get your pain, I can sell you a fucking product.
Yeah.
I think that's true sales at its highest format. Just make people's shoulders drop and have a conversation with them. People only want product, commission, and they forget about people, and then product and commission becomes fucking hard, right? So they forget about the customer 24/7. Like, how does your customer feel when you ask something, you know?
Yeah. As you're talking about that, it made me think about how, sales is difficult, right? Because there's a lot of parts to it, right? I think most people think about the skill portion of it. They're like, oh, I need this new close. I need, how do I build better rapport? Like, they're thinking strictly from the skill basis. And we did just talk a lot about skill.
Right.
But we always forget about, like, running their own business side of it. Like, bro, how many contacts did you make? Have you thought about why nobody no-shows you all the time? Like, everybody's no-showing you. Like, what's the deal here? Right? And so there's this element of actually managing yourself as a business guy, and your production, because to your point, you're not going to be on the phone with people for 7 hours a day. You're going to spend more time not on the phone trying to get people on the phone. And it's like, we don't even focus on that skill. What do you think about that with these just different, like, let's just say setters and closers, right? Where setters are just prospecting all day, and then I guess maybe closers a lot of times are just kind of chilling, waiting for their appointments. And, if somebody no-shows, then they're kind of then in B mode of prospecting. How do you manage yourself better?
Yeah, I think again, it's just about I think the best salespeople in the world, number one, they think like you sell to others as you would like to be sold. That's why I started off this conversation saying, like, what would you feel on that other end of a conversation? Because people are people. Like, you are a prospect on the other phone call. You've done everything a prospect has done. That's why I was saying, like, when you understand how people buy, you don't even got to be the best in skills. Like, okay, I think you're deadly when you understand how people buy, you're the best at skills, and you have good work ethic. Okay, you're a deadly sales rep. But I think you're great at sales, not because you know it word for word, you just understand people, how they buy. So sales becomes easy.
Yeah.
But when you're so oblivious to people and you're trying to, like, learn a script and you're just a fucking robot to the person, that's where you see the disconnect. Cause I'm like, oh man, like, I'll ask people that do, like, script trainings, and I'll say, stop. Okay, you're trying to learn all the words, right? Yeah. I said, do you know why you said that? What do you mean? Like, why did you fucking say? Because if you know why you're saying the script, you're going to start to understand sales a little bit better. You're just trying to know, like, the science of it. But, like, do you know why I just did a role play with you for 2 seconds. If somebody just go back to that and replay it after this when it airs, there's a certain reason why I said what I said. Yeah, I was speaking really fast, but there was a reason to make the person feel loose, drop the shoulders, etc. So I said, you have to understand why people buy, because you're a reflection of a prospect. We have done everything a prospect's always done. We've defended, said, no, thank you, I'm not interested when we walked inside of a mall. Hey, can I help you with anything? No, thank you, I'm not interested, right? We're just defensive. We're naturally defensive. We done another phase of a prospect, because I think if you could deal with all these three, you become a master. One, the person that says, I'm not buying nothing today. That person that always has the defense, right? That's one stage of a prospect. I said, you understand prospect, product becomes easy. Number two, you've also been on the other end as a prospect where you've hyped somebody up. Yeah, man, I'm so ready to get started. Just send me over the contracts. I'll get it all done by today. We've all been that person. Why? Sometimes you don't want to make a salesperson feel bad. So you've been in the over-embellishment format too with somebody. You've done it yourself. Prospects will do it to you. And we get tricked as salespeople. Like amateur salespeople will be like, yeah, man, I got in the bag on Friday. The guy was hyping you up. But you didn't know. You've done the same thing to somebody, not because you're an ass. You just didn't want to make somebody feel bad. You didn't know how to tell the person no. Prospects aren't bad people. They sometimes just don't know how to tell you no. So be like, man, I'm ready to get started. They're still a little bit scared. They'll hype you up. The salesperson gets tricked, sends them over all the information, does a whole bunch of unpaid consulting for them, right? And then they don't get the deal on a Friday. And then the other person, which is also very interesting, is like a ready buyer. Like a ready buyer is just like, bro, I'm ready. Send me over the information. And
you keep selling.
And keep selling. So it's like, you just got to understand these three, because then it becomes a dance. It's like, dude, their shoulders are up. It becomes a dance how to drop his shoulders. Oh, he's hyping you up. It becomes a dance on how to deal with that guy that's trying to hype you up. It's like, or like, you know, the person that tries to drive you in the beginning of the conversation, bro, I got 5 minutes. Just show me the price of the mastermind. And then the guy's like, what do you do in that situation? Because I just said something. If you have salespeople watching or business owners, I'll do this on stage 24/7. I say, all right, who has the guy that gets the person on the phone and the guy's just like, man, show me the price. I don't care about anything, show me the price. Like, what do you do as a sales rep? Because that guy is trying to drive the sale, right? He doesn't give a shit. He's like, okay, I'm pretending like I'm ready right now, but I just want everything. And then the salesperson either does one or two things. Number one, they're like, all right, well, you know, the price of the program is $5,000. Let me show you why we charge $5,000. You're done. Because you said price, you didn't build value on it, right? And now the guy could just take price and leave. So you obviously know that might not be the right strategy. The second person probably like, yeah, you know, man, I can't tell you the price right now because, you know, I just need know a little bit more about you, what you do for a living, and that way I'll get you out the specific pricing. You also lost. How? Because now you argued with the guy. So now you're in the middle being like, what the fuck do I do? If I don't give him the price and I don't tell him I need to build value, that's only one or two things that most people are trained to do. Give the price or tell them you can't give the price because you need to ask a little bit more questions. After you ask them a little bit more questions, get them out the price. But I said something in this conversation. Again, if people go back to it, I speak fast, but if people go back to it, I said highest form of control is make your prospects feel like they're in control, right? So I said, hey, Ryan, 150%. Finally, man, I get on a conversation with somebody and they need to know the facts and figures right away because I speak to people 24/7. I'm an account manager here at WealthCon, and all I do is support people coming inside of the business, and I have to tell them for freaking 4 hours why it's important to understand their finances. You know, it's not how much you make, but it's how much you keep. Finally, I get on a phone call with somebody and they just need to know the price right away. Let me spit that out to you in 2.5 seconds. That way you have the price and you can make an educated decision whether or not this is right for you. Let me just ask you one or two quick questions. Let me get you out the price in 2.5 seconds. Dude, when's the last time I'm back in conversation? Because I made you feel like you're in control.
Yeah.
But that's not a script. Like, I just know this shit so fucking well because I understand people. So all I said is like, let me not argue with this guy, but let me not give it the price way too quick. Let me still make Ryan feel like he's in control, like he's gonna get the price, but I'm gonna stay on my track right now.
Yeah. What do you think of scripts in general? Like, I've never liked them. I like them as like a, well, dude, yeah.
Like a guide?
Yeah.
Sure.
But like, to your point, once again, I don't want to say it's competition, you know, I'm from the world of sports, but it's like, bro, you're going to throw curveballs at me that the script doesn't account for.
And that's why I said you have to understand it.
Yeah.
That's what I said. There's it's like when you go on stage, bro, and you see a speaker and you know they're new and they're just going word for word on a PowerPoint and you just see it, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing inside of sales. It's like, you know, and is the audience locked in that person? No, the audience is dead. You could see it. Like, you could see the audience like dozing off. And, you know, I think the human brain on the other side, that audience almost wants to feel like it's unscripted, and that's what the most attractive thing is. When you watch the best speakers on stage, the world's best, when you think of the world's best speakers, right? Just great, powerful speakers, even comedians, they're so fucking good that everything seems unscripted. Even though they know their shit in their back of their head, everything is just so unscripted to the audience. Yeah. And I think that's the most sexiest trait to an audience. Like when you listen to a comedian, Kevin Hart, and he's like, man, you know, last week I was sitting down with my family, right? Kids are crazy. And you think this story's out of nowhere, but he has it in his head. He's embodied the story. He doesn't know it word for word, but he has it in his head, and everybody's like, oh man, this is cool, it's unscripted. Same thing inside of sales. That's why I said it's better to understand why you say certain things rather than know it word for word. Because when you get thrown a curveball, you're gonna have to say, okay, let me understand what the prospect is trying to tell me, rather than just like the one-worded response or like whatever the case is, that one-word strategy. I think, again, what I was saying was like understand a prospect where they're standing. Yeah. Like, are they defending themselves right now? Are they hyping you up? Are they ready to buy? Because then you'll, like, a fucking sales script is easy, bro. Like a guide is easy. Like, you start a conversation, you ask them questions, see where they are, figure out where they want to get to, cover up the gap, sell the program product, go in for the close, deal with the objections. Like, it's very basic.
Yeah.
That shit you can be taught in 10 minutes. A sales script can literally be taught in 10 minutes. And if you can't, like, then you're just stupid. Get out of sales. If you like, that science of sales is not hard. That's the easy part of sales. Like if I'm on stage and I'm doing like an 8-hour seminar, I'm like, you guys do know like dealing with an objection from a scientific word for word standpoint is actually not that hard because you've learned calculus and algebra and you can't learn how to, when somebody says, no, thank you, I'm not interested. Like you can't learn just like one rebuttal from it. I said, that part is easy. What people struggle with is understanding what a client is saying, is listening to a client.
Yeah.
That's what people struggle with, is like understanding the prospect situation, having intuition. That's why I think there's sales ladies are great.
Sales ladies?
Yes. Yeah. I think sales ladies are great. Why? Because they're so much better fucking listeners than men. No, they are better.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, sales ladies are great because they have faculties that us men just don't have.
Right.
Like, you know, like if like I'm not the best at listening. I'm horrible and I'm fucking great at sales and it's always been my kryptonite. So I had to literally think always about listening when I was young.
Be like, listen, don't talk,
shut up.
don't talk.
Seek to understand, don't seek to reply. But ladies inside of, they're natural born listeners. That's why us men ladies listen to all our bullshit. They gossip 24/7 and listen to it. No way, tell me more, etc. Us men are just F off, man. We're on to the next thing. So I think sales ladies are great when they mix in, like, you know, their intuition. Again, us men are very black and white. Sales ladies, if they bring in their intuition into sales, they crush it. Meaning, like,
so you think they have a natural advantage?
Yeah, 150%. With the right skills, ladies smash it. Right boundaries and right skills, ladies smash men inside of sales because they're better listeners. Like they of course they have a natural advantage. They understand. Hey, they've been dealing with people their whole life, born as a lady, right? Like, you have guys coming up to you your whole life. You have to have your intuition. What does this guy want from me? Who is he? What is he trying to get from me? Us guys don't have to deal with this. Their intuition, their back of their eyes, they have eyes around their head that we just don't have. They think about things that we just don't think about. They could smell a guy from a million miles away. This guy's trying to hit on me or whatever the case is. Us men, we don't think about this. And I say, imagine, ladies, you brought this back inside of sales. Like, the same intuition that you have outside of sales, now you brought it inside of sales. And when a guy or a girl says to you over a phone, hey, I just need to speak to my husband, right? I'm like, hey, Bree, listen, do you fucking feel inside of your intuition like she actually needs to speak to her husband? Use the intuition that you have. Like, the same intuition that you have outside of sales, use it right now. Because if you don't feel that, keep freaking going. But if you now shut off your intuition, which is the biggest faculty inside of sales, which you can't teach this faculty inside of sales. I'm like, if you shut it off, you pay him the dummy like every other guy. But do you feel, like, the first thing, a question I always ask somebody, I'm like, do you believe them? Do you believe them? No? Okay, keep fucking going. Don't lose intuition, right? So I think sales ladies are great. I think more people have to bring in more sales ladies inside of the business and allow them to own their skills to, you know, bring them inside of a sales business.
Yeah. That leads to two things I was thinking about while you're talking about that. Is one is, you know, the objection of, I need to talk to a spouse. That is like a huge thing. And then two is, to your point, intuition. To me, like, intuition's only developed through experience. And it's true, right? Because when people ask me, especially our sales reps and stuff, they're like, you know, how do you handle this situation? I'm like, I would handle it differently just depending on, you know, what I feel. Like, I'm gonna be able to feel like, no, that dude really does need to talk to his wife and he's gonna be good, you know. And then other times it's like, dude, that guy, he ain't buying, dude. He's scared. Like, what do you think?
That's so important. Like, that feeling side, that's what I was trying to say. It's like, you know, like, what do you feel is, remember when we started off the conversation when I said, like, does a person fucking like you? And the guy's like, well, what do you mean? I said, oh man, you're just blind inside of this conversation. Like, you're just talking and you haven't realized maybe the guy's checked out, or, you know, he's not really talking to you and he's giving you one-worded answers. I said, your intuition is super important inside of sales, just like you said. It's like, you know, when somebody says, I don't have the money, let's say like the big one, I don't have the budget right now. What do you feel? Like, has he sold you on the facts? Like, I don't have the money, but bro, listen, I need to do this. I'm gonna sell my fucking coach to do this. Okay, he's serious. I don't have to push him right now on this phone call. Let me just work with this guy, get off the phone call and support this guy, right? And, you know, just the other guy that says, yeah, man, I just don't have the money right now to do something like this. You got to take 3 steps back and be like, it's not the fucking money. Yeah. Because, like, you just think of this, even if the guy gets the money 4 weeks down the road, but he's still not sold on it and he's so uninterested, he's not going to spend it with you. So it has nothing to do about money. Yeah. Like, money is, first of all, it's a complete myth about sales. The whole money thing is just the biggest myth. And we try to pour so much gasoline on solving this money objection when it's reality. There's no objection about money inside of sales ever, because people pay for things if they feel like they're getting 10 times back more. And I just said one word, feel. If somebody feels that they're getting back more, then money becomes obsolete. Like, if I were to take a beautiful watch and be like, man, I'm selling this Rolex watch or whatever for $500, and you're broke and you don't have $500,
you'll find a way to get it.
You'll find a fucking way to get it. You obviously know, like, it's like, so I say the same thing inside of sales. I'm like, dude, it never has something to do about money. If the person doesn't have $1,000, they will get fucking paid $1,000. The question now becomes, when they get paid $1,000, do they go spend it at Caesar's Palace or with you? Right. So it's really never about money. People buy things when the perceived value is higher than cost and price, right? It really doesn't have to do anything about money. It's just that money only comes into an objection, because sales is a reflection, is let's just say when they feel like they're spending money and not investing money, of course, money's going to be an objection. So it's you as a sales rep. It was your problem because they felt like they were losing something. And if they felt like they were losing something, they're going to say, well, man, I just don't have the money to do something like this. But if they felt like they were gaining something, it was investment, they would never give you the money objection. Right? So it's always like every objection you get inside of sales, even a time one, when it's like, yeah, man, you just, right now is not a good time. Okay, wait. Stop, pause, go back as a sales rep. What do you think you could have done better? Because if the guy's telling you right now is not a good time, I can almost guarantee you, if I looked at the whole conversation, there was a lack of urgency as to why he needed to start it this week. Lack of urgency from yourself, lack of urgency inside of the conversation would then translate into him fucking saying, man, I just don't have the time to do something like this.
Right.
It's a reflection. Sales is it's like reflection. If you're slow, there's no sense of urgency, he's probably going to give you a time objection. If you have a bad way of showing that it's an investment and, rather than just spending money, then they're probably going to say, I don't have the money to do something like this. If they have to say, I have to go speak to somebody, think of even that one. Man, I have to go consult with somebody. Maybe you suck at showing like there's a lack of authority inside of the conversation, so they can't get authority from somebody like you, so they have to go somewhere else. So,
let's talk about authority. That's a good one, because a lot of times, right, confidence, authority, and everything else, right? And you said it before, when you see this dope close on Instagram, you're like, well, yeah, that guy can do it because he basically has authority. The dude is a savage. He's been in the game a long time. And so it's funny because, like, if I go to close somebody, authority is already there because of brand. So it's not really a fair close to look at how I would close versus somebody else. And so how do you establish authority in a sales call, like pretty quickly too, but also helping them feel like they're in control, like you said?
Good. Mindset's number one. So meaning you and I can get on, and it's just because, our mindset has just been built through so much repetition and contacts with people. It's like, you can't convince us otherwise. Of course I'm going to have authority. Like, or on this podcast, I just came off a stage, there's a few thousand people. I feel fucking great. Cool. So it's easier for me to spit the sales game.
Yeah.
But then somebody that's not in sales, hasn't been in sales or hasn't done events or doesn't have a big brand, the first thing you got to ask yourself as a sales rep is, because it's just posture. Like, you're asking, like, how do you have good posture as a sales rep?
Yeah.
It's more so of saying, it's like, listen, think of what's happening right now. The guy booked a meeting with you, Bob. Now, the guy's literally asking, you can't see this, but the guy's asking, I want to change my fucking life. He doesn't give a shit who you are. You're only thinking about it inside of your own head. Man, I've just been at the job for 2 months, blah, blah. And that makes you have a shitty mindset. He's coming on the phone call saying, I want help. And when a salesperson can own that people come on the phone call because they want somebody to lead them better than they can lead themselves, they're seeking advice, they're seeking help. But sometimes we doubt as a sales rep. It's like, dude, the guy booked a call with you of 30. Let's just go down. If I were to book a 30-minute call with somebody on your team, like, I'm telling you, I'm fucked up. That's the way I see it. I can't think of any other thought. This is how I train my team. I'm like, guys, they're fucked. They booked a 30-minute call. Look at TikTok brain these days. Like, everybody has TikTok brain. I'll show you something cool. Where's my phone? People don't spend more than 5 seconds just watching to the most coolest shit in life. They don't even, so imagine somebody gives you 15 minutes of a phone call. This is how you build posture. Somebody gave you 15 minutes to listen to your ass. They don't even watch your reels for 15 seconds.
Right.
Like, that's how much they're like, I'm going to give you my time and day. Like, I came from door-to-door sales. 14 years old, I started door-to-door sales. Back then, it was so fucking easy. People love talking to people. Like, they would invite you in their home. Hey, ma'am, I'm just here around the neighborhood. Hey, come in, sweetie. You don't want a glass of water? They talk for hours. Now you knock on somebody's door, you think they're robbing you or something, right? It's just a different environment. Even our parents have fucking TikTok brain, 10-second brain. I show people an example. I'm like, you want to see how small people's attention span is? We'll go to like any reel on Instagram here. We'll go to one reel here.
All the haters come to my Instagram.
This reel, I've never done this, but this reel has view insights. Okay, cool. It has 150,000 plays, 1,300 shares, 600 saves. You think you're doing good, right? You're like, oh fuck, this is great, man. Yeah, man, I have such a good reel. Watch this. You guys can't probably zoom into this. The watch time on this reel was 288 hours, a recent reel, which is fucking a lot, by the way, because the reel is only a 40-second reel. Good. You think you're still smashing it. This reel is a 40-second reel. The average watch time on this reel, do you guys ever look at this stat if you guys market a brand? The average watch time is 9 seconds. Bro, this reel was 40 seconds. And if anybody was to ever look at like my sales reels, they're engaging, man. I try to say jokes. I try to be energetic on these reels. And it doesn't matter what you do, the best hook in the beginning, because I know everybody's like, man, your hook has to change in the beginning. Okay, great, guys, change the hook. We have to do better hooks. Still, You're watching it for 9 fucking seconds and engaging. So I'm like, dude, like, this is an important stat to see how small people's attention span is.
Yeah.
So I say that going back on your conversation is like, if somebody's giving you 30 minutes, they're telling you something's fucked up because I don't watch your reel for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So that's almost one how you build posture as a sales rep, is knowing that they're coming in to solve a problem. And you have to know that and also as a sales rep, they don't know your financial situation. This is also the beauty about sales. Nobody on the other end knows that you just started working for Ryan 3 months ago. They don't know that.
Yeah.
It's only inside of your head. Like they're thinking like, man, I'm talking to one of fucking Ryan's guys. But it could be one new sales rep that you just hired. And inside of his head, he's like, I'm just a new sales rep. They don't fucking know that.
Yeah.
They're talking to one of Ryan's guys. You're second best to him. You know, hey, by the way, I'm one of Ryan's managing directors inside of the program. They have no clue. It's how you want to show up inside of your own head. That's the beauty about sales, because it like keeps you on your toes when you're at your best. How do you still be humble, talk to people? But it also, when you're going through a shitstorm where nobody knows who the heck you are, that's the beauty about it, that nobody knows.
Yeah.
That's what creates good postures, that nobody knows that you're new, how bad your week is, and you could show up and just be a fucking boss inside of your own head. You could fake it inside of your own head.
Yeah.
In your head, you could fake it.
Well, and I think too, my authority is like imputed upon them because they work for me.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's a different story, because then I'm always gonna, like, if I were to come work for you, I already should have good posture, because I'm saying like, yeah, man, they already love Ryan.
Yeah.
Like, they already love Ryan. What am I? Of course I should have good posture, because sometimes it's different when, let's put it on the other spectrum. If you're cold calling somebody for real estate,
they hate you. Yeah.
That's a harder battle, because like, fuck, man, now you're trying to build authority, like have some jokes with them on the phone call. They already don't like you. They're already defensive.
Yeah.
Then the question becomes like, then what the fuck do you do to break defense? Because it's easy, man. Like, dude, the people that we have working for sales reps for us and you, they're queens. Like, they're calendar queens. They're fucking so easy. Like, it's so, that's not sales.
I tell them that sometimes. I'm just like, guys.
And they don't like hearing that.
No, but it's the truth.
It's the truth. It's not like think of the guy that has to literally look at a lead list, I don't know, like FSBOs or something. And
a door knocker.
Yeah, door knocker. And they have to get up there and be like, yo, the person's first response is, fuck you.
I know.
That's a sales rep. Like, and then it's like, you have to think of ways. It's not even like, smart sales rep knows how to deal with the fuck you. The other sales rep's like, man, I'm already a piece of shit to this person.
Yeah.
Let's start where it is.
I was just cracking up because I just had this conversation with 2 good guys on my team. I'm like, you 2 are the most entitled people here. And you guys you have no idea what it's really like.
Yeah. And you've done all the hard work for them.
Yeah.
Like, you did all the hard work. So to me, it's like, yeah, I think like, that the person that, is like cold calling and door knocking, they have to think, first
They have
of all,
to get authority somehow.
And they have to have thick skin.
Yeah.
Like, their skin has to be so fucking thick. Like, a no to them is a joke. Like, it's literally like, when people ask me like, man, how do you become desensitized to a no? I'm like, well, here's the fucking problem. Nobody has told you no enough.
Yeah.
Like, me as a kid, I was a crazy kid, ADD, ADHD. My whole life I heard no.
Yeah.
So I'm like, sales was easy because I just fucking heard no my whole life. Everybody told me no. And also, I grew up in a high intensive sales environment where you hear no a lot of times.
Yeah.
If you don't hear no a lot of times, you're obviously emotional about a no. You're only emotional about something if it's new to your brain, but you become desensitized even to the positive and the negatives. Meaning, like, if a guy compliments a girl and he's like, man, you're hot, you have beautiful curly hair, eventually she becomes desensitized even to the compliment.
Yeah.
Like, she's just
everyone
like,
tells me this.
Yeah. It's like, if somebody comes up to Daniel, man, your energy's phenomenal. Do I fucking love it? Yes. Have I heard it a million times, bro? Yes. Like, I've heard that compliment a million times. So I think, number one, it's thick skin, right? When we were talking about posture. Number 2, it's like, you got to be a little bit more creative, because when your posture's starting off like a piece of shit at the door. Yeah. Like, I'm just keeping it real. You're knocking on the door and they're already thinking, fuck this sales guy. So it's like, the first opening line has to be like, to drop their shoulders.
Yeah.
Right? So I was training a solar team, I think it was last week. I'm like, guys, you have to say something where they'll feel bad to treat you bad. Like, just knock on the door, or like cold call somebody. Like, if you're cold calling somebody, I would say like, when you're like, hey, how's your day going? And they're like, my day's great. Who am I speaking with? Or like, when they're like, how's your day going? Say something where they're going to feel bad to treat you like shit. Like, be like, hey, my day's going freaking amazing. Oddly enough, every single person that I talk to inside of your neighborhood, they're so fucking friendly. All your neighbors are so freaking friendly, because I do a lot of work. I'm a realtor inside of your area, Ryan. And every single person that I talk to, they're so freaking friendly. Now, Ryan's going to be like on the other end, on the cold call, if I'm a realtor or whatever I'm cold calling, man, I can't treat this guy like a piece of shit now. So I just set, like, I had the frame control inside of the conversation. It's where it's like, you know, in the beginning stage, I'm also showing you how to treat me with the posture, right? I'm being a little bit more smart because I got to use my words to drop your defense, make me, you know, treat me good, etc. That's the things that, you know, people on calendar queens, they don't have to think of. You know, like
you call them calendar queens. That's
yeah,
like your nickname.
Like they're fucking baby. This guy's fucking baby, bro. This guy, dude, he's been closing with me. Not even like, you know, there's one thing where somebody comes in through an ad. It's a little bit difficult, bro. It's a little bit difficult if somebody comes in through an ad.
Yeah. It's not like organic. Organic is
sure, but when we're on a live stream or somebody comes in from a story, and I'm like, only message me, and sometimes I'm so specific. I'm like, only message me the word ready if you're fucking ready to buy now, right? And then the guy messages me ready, and then it goes into a calendar opt-in. Like, this guy has a warmer lead than fucking warm. And like, they think they're, oh man, yeah, you know, I closed the guy, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, like, if you just seen how I qualified people on my live stream, and plus they've been watching me for 4 years, you have the most qualified lead, right? Yeah. So, I don't think that's true sales. I still think that's in customer service.
I call them order takers.
Yeah, I still think it's in customer service. I still think it's in customer service, right?
Yeah.
But hey, listen, you know, when it's time, it's not that they're saying they're not great at sales, because there is times where it's like, you know, I got to throw them other things, other leads, etc.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why sometimes I'll put top sales guys that are close to me in that position, because I trust the most with the people that I love the most, which is my audience.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that they're taken care of. You know, I trust this guy the most, that he's not going to just try to hardcore close my audience, blah, blah. So he's going to take care of them. Even though I can put maybe him in a different position and he could be in a different sales position, maybe I want him to talk to my audience. So I'm not going to rip on him, which I do 24/7 actually. But like, no, I tell him, I'm
you
like,
gotta have thick skin, right?
Yeah. I'd say you can't close the fucking door.
You can't close the door.
I'm like, you couldn't sell fucking life jacket on the Titanic when it's sinking. I tell him. And then he comes back, and I think that's what sales is. He comes back, he's like, man, I just need a better sales trainer. Right?
Yeah.
And hey, that's the beauty about it. Like, you know, I always test reps too. Like, I think sales is like a diss battle, bro. Like, I grew up listening to rap, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you fucking suck at sales, because like, think of sales, right? It's just like, go back and forth. They give you an objection. It's like a diss battle, bro. It's like you're Eminem or Kendrick Lamar and Drake right now. It's like, dude, if a client tells you no money, what's your game back to them?
Yeah.
Like, your game's fucking weak. We grew up when we were young. You know, he actually went to my elementary and high school. He's still with me till today. But like, we grew up in circles dissing each other.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like
that's what I grew up doing in sports.
Yeah,
but everyone's so
like,
sensitive now.
Dude, man, fuck.
Dude, we hired somebody. I'm like, dude, you suck at sales, and it's like the end of the world. I'm like, never mind. Like, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. Like, you don't even want to say it.
I feel bad.
You know what's crazy? You know, sometimes you question yourself and you're like, do I even want to tell this person he sucks? Because you already know how weak people are. They're gonna get offended, and that's why we know it. Like, people that are in sports, you know, do the best, because like, you know, fucking your coaches would hit you over the fucking head if you had a bad tackle or something.
I realized this. If you didn't play team sports, like, you don't even have to play at a high level. Like, just play team sports to get freaking through competition, to get, you know, all this crap talk to you, to go through adversity, to be demeaned, like all these like things that happen in sales, like they happen in sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, that's why you see like great sales ladies, when we were talking about sales ladies, you'll see a common denominator between great sales ladies and two trends. Number one, she grew up with brothers.
Yeah.
Hard fucking love, right?
Yeah.
Or number two, she was always with like the homies at school. You know, she grew up around a lot of guys. You know, she knew how to like balance out between a lot of guys. You'll see one of those two things, like, you know, or their father. You look at, like, sometimes you'll look at the father. So it's either they grew up with brothers, keep them safe, tough freaking love, or their father, you know, had tough love with the daughter, etc. You could see these trends. Or she was around a lot of men, right? So she understands the game of how to deal with men, etc. Right? So. But yeah, I think, man, people are just fucking weak. I think sports, I've always, you're right. I've always hired people that, you know, we're always, because that's what sales is. It's competition. And it's like, you know, that motivates you as a sales rep. You know, the biggest line I hate, bro, is like when people are like, you know, don't compete with people because it's going to demotivate you. And then you really think about that shit. And like any top performer, you can't tell me fucking otherwise. Because when people are like, yo, don't compete and compare yourself to people that are at the top. Yeah, it's okay. I get where you're coming from. But in reality, any top performer, all of our friends, they're competitive as fuck. They don't like, dude, none of us, somebody asked me, dude, why do you work so hard? I'm like, I don't want somebody fucking beating me. Yeah. So I'll get on the plane. I know, dude, you had great salespeople on here on this podcast. You have the best of the best.
Yep.
So I'm looking left and I'm looking right. That's the only thing that I'm doing. I'm saying, I'm not going to let these guys fucking beat me. So if there's a training out in India, I'll go to India. Fuck it. They're not going to go to India. I'll go to India and do it. Right? So competition, I think when you say to somebody, don't compare yourself or don't compete with somebody else, it's like, yeah, for a bitch. But like in reality, bro, anybody that's ever drove results inside of a business is constantly doing one thing. They're competing with the person that's the best.
Yeah.
And it drives healthy growth. I am nothing without my competitors. Every single person that you've ever interviewed that are here, we're nothing without each other.
Yeah.
We're nothing without each other. What? We're going to wake up in the fucking morning and do nothing, bro.
I know you came on here saying, I'm going to be the best interview, period. I'm going to be the best one that's ever come on here, right? Like, and I think that way in all aspects of life. I've had psychologists on the show and trying to just figure out, where does that come from? Like the desire to be the best, the desire to be number one. It's like, dude, I don't know. I grew up in sports, dude. Like, there's a winner and a loser. Like, that's it.
That's it.
Just freaking win.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a loser.
Yeah.
And so...
And money comes with that.
There's rewards for winning.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, bro, you want me to speak on your stage? Okay, I'm going to be the best. Who else you got speaking? All right.
I've smashed them all.
Yep, I'm going to be the best.
Whether you say it or not, it's in your head.
Oh,
always.
1,000%.
Always, bro. Yeah, always. Yeah, it's... I get that is it, because to me, I always think inside of my head, I say, when people ask what's your best business advice, I said focus on becoming the best. Yeah. Because like if you focus on that, yes, of course money's gonna come. That's what I always did inside of my business. I said, how do I just focus on becoming the best inside of my industry?
Yeah.
Because that's gonna say, oh shit, we got an upper activity here. Yeah. I gotta get a little bit more sharper here. Who is the best? Then you start looking at who's the best.
Oh, that who do you think's the best? Okay.
Okay, that guy's the best.
Why do you think he's the best?
Right. Why do you think he's the best? What is he doing right now? Like if we were to look at competition in your space or my space, okay, what are they, when you say you're going to be the best, what is the best doing right now?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to do all of that, number one, better and more.
Yeah.
That's it. Like better and more. You might not even have to be so fucking innovative. Like, because that's where people fuck up too inside of business. I think a lot of people, like the phases of business is, what can you currently do better? Right? What can you do more of? What can you do better? And until you do master those two things, then you bring innovation. Until you do like this is everything inside of a business. First, it's how do we better the sales team? Yeah. Can they do more of the sales team? Can they get better before we put something new inside of the sales process? That's what you constantly have to ask yourself. So as us, I always ask myself, what's competition doing right now? Okay, we got to do everything competition's doing. We got to do it better. We got to do it more. And until we do that, then we'll add something new in. Okay, now you guys want to add this virtual AI event like this and nobody's done it. Okay, now we can do it. Yeah. But until we've done better, we've done more and we've done better on the same platforms that they're on, we'd go more. So I think, bro, competition's healthy. I think everybody has to look at the leaderboards at the top or the best top people and say, I'm going to fucking smash you. And if you're in sales, you constantly got to look at the top and say, if I'm third best inside of my organization, I'm going to fucking eat the person that's at the top. Because that's all you do in sports. Mm-hmm. All you do in sports is that person's at the top, we have to fucking beat them. And that's what drives you. And if that's not your mentality, then sales isn't fucking right for you. Like right. You're not good for sales. Like I don't know how to say it any other way. If your mentality is that competing with somebody else demotivates you, sales is not the right sport for you. It's not the right sport. What we're doing, it's not the right sport. If it doesn't motivate you, I don't think it's the right sport.
I agree.
I don't think it's right. Like that's the only thing, the only two things that push people like you and I are like winning and seeing how much we can push the throttle of potential.
How much we can run up the score.
Yeah, what you can run up the score until like life punches you in the face. Yeah. We've done that. Like we've pushed so hard to where like we allow life punch us in the face. Kind of like, oh, you couldn't do that. Here's a little lawsuit.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe you pushed a little bit too hard here. Yeah. Let life punch you in the face, right? Yeah. I don't think people even get to that point where life punches them in the face.
No, they're too scared.
Yeah, they don't even see. Yeah. That's what people like us, if people say, what keeps you motivated? I'm like, well, that guy and that gal, first of all, I'm not letting them beat me. And number two, I just want to see if I could do more without getting punched. Right? And guess what? I got sucker punched and then life's like, hey, you're not there yet. You're like, okay,
I'll take a little step back.
Yeah,
now
I'm
going to go forward.
Back. Correct, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about real estate? You were talking about that earlier with the realtors and being told to F off and everything else. So what do you think is, I guess, the best way for real estate sales? And mind you, most of my audience and myself are investors. We're trying to buy the house from the seller. So clearly we're trying to get a great deal, pay under market value. the pitch, I don't even want to say pitch, but the offer is essentially, hey, we can close quick. It's going to be a cash offer, buy it as is, all that good stuff.
What are my thoughts around it?
Well, I mean, is there any certain way you would pitch it or sell it, or is it just all part of the same crap?
Yeah, again, people are people, humans are humans. I think when you're coming into any sort of real estate, whether you're fighting for a listing or something's off market and you're trying to resell it, if you're like, a residential real estate rep, or you're doing wholesale, I think, the most important thing is time as a real estate rep. When you call somebody, you just got to think, number one, they've been contacted by 50 other people that are trying to wholesale, fix and flip, etc. Number one. So the first thing you have to get down to is just like, some people take too long to get down to the reality of what's happening with that person. Hey, Bob, right now, hey, you make a joke in the beginning stage or whatever you want to do to open up the conversation. But to me, the most important thing is like, look at what's important with the person right now. Just ask them, hey, what's the most important thing? If you had to sell this in the next 6 months, what are the most important thing? Because right now, I don't even know if I'd be able to help you. Tell me 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to get my ass off the call. Number one, okay, getting most bang for your buck. Do you have to move out quickly? Do you have to do 3 things? Like, I'm just going down right to what a client needs right away. And I think too many people beat around the fucking bush.
Yeah.
They're like, they talk slow. I'm like, listen, I had to get this off of my plate by 2.5 hours ago. I'm going to get off a phone call with you. I don't even know if we'd be able to work out a deal with you, but let me ask you a question. If we even decided to, work with you on this deal, what are the 3 most important things? I'll give you one, Ryan, getting this off the market as quick as possible. Is there anything else? Because I've seen that I was on the market for the last 6.5 months that is so important to you to see if I can actually support you. Just go right into it. Right? Like, just go right into service right away, quickly. People want to know, hey, can you support me? I'm not going to fucking waste my time here if I don't think I'm going to get you the best deal or whatever the case is. Talk to people straight up, and especially the people, again, it's about knowing your buyers. If you're talking to people that are investors 24/7, they're getting hit up by everybody.
Yeah.
It's just getting down. It's knowing your stuff, knowing the right questions to ask. How quickly can you get to the problem? Like, getting to that problem has to be 50 times quicker than getting to a problem in a high-ticket sales call. You have to get to the problem within 45 seconds of what they want and what they need, right? Why haven't they got it? 10 times quicker than when somebody books a 30-minute call with us. That's right. The difference.
What about with an inbound lead? So we do a lot
in real estate?
Yeah.
I think it's the exact same thing. So, when somebody inbounds for the lead.
They want an offer. They know what we do.
Correct.
They're submitting.
They're correct. So it works. Remember that time where people are like, hey, just show me the price, right? Where it's inbound. I think the most important thing is always to stay on script when people are asking you things. It's like the person that highest form of control is people that stay in control. It's like a prospect's job is always to get information and run. Your job is to get information and sell. So what the worst thing that happens is when something comes inbound, we get excited sometimes because we're like, oh man, this is going to be an easy close. It's inbound or whatever case is. Just remember that the only way you're going to be able to close them is you exactly know what they want and what they need specifically so you can talk to them. A lot of sales reps talk at people where it's like, they just treat them like every generic customer. But the moment I know exactly this is where they want to move, this is exactly what they want, and I can figure out that quickly, I can speak your language. So again, to me, it's like just getting down to the wants and needs fast. Don't even trust applications. They could lie. By the way, applications for everything can lie, right? It's like, is it actually true? Is it honest? What's the want? What's the need? Is that most important to them? Why is it most important to them? Is there anything else? No, perfect. Hey, now I feel like I can help you, right? And just being very upfront. Everybody likes somebody. Like, if you were to give an inbound call to me, I'm going to be upfront with Ryan and say, Ryan, this is exactly what I need to know in order to see if we can make a deal. It's going to be X, it's going to be Y, it's going to be Z. I'm going to ask you a few quick questions. I'm going to see if we can help you. If I could, I'm going to show you exactly what we have to offer. Is that cool? Yes, awesome.
It sounds like just setting good expectations.
Yeah, it's just managing expectations on a sales call, right? You taking lead of the conversation. They contacted you, your boss. Even when you contact somebody else. I even think cold calls, dude, I think a great sales rep knows how to turn it warm in 2.5 seconds. Like, I don't believe it's cold. Like a cold knock. It's like, how do you get this guy in 2.5 seconds asking you, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the ability. Like, give me the hardest situation in my head. I'm trying to be so creative where now the prospect's asking me, what do you do for a living? How did you get into that? Instead of asking them, what do you do for a living? Why do you do it? How many people do you have? Blah, blah, blah. That's average. But I think a great prospector, I train a lot of network marketers too, right? You know what that is, network marketing?
Yeah.
Like, they have to go out there and recruit people in person, right? Yep. Just like if you're working for EXP and you want to build a brokerage, you have to go out there and recruit people in person, bring people. And I say, like, there's one person that goes to ask somebody, like, what do you do for a living? How long have you been doing it? What are your commissions? Blah, blah. I'm like, the other person always turns a cold interaction into warm in 2.5 seconds. And a warm interaction just essentially means that, going back to it, process of engagement, clients asking you questions. What do you mean you get paid higher commissions? What do you mean you're doing this for a living, right? You know how to elicit something. You know how to bring up a statement that's going to elicit them to ask you a question. Like if I were to sit down in Vegas right now and I would just landed in the airport and I take a shot of espresso at Starbucks and I'm like, damn, this girl's sharp. I should recruit her inside of my sales team. Hey, what do you do for a living? How long have you been doing it? Regular. But I know if I'm smart, I could shoot this shot of espresso. I'm telling your audience to see where my mind's going right now. Woo! Man, that espresso was so strong. I, of course, know she's going to be like, but you guys make your espresso so strong here in Vegas. She's going to say, well, where are you from? Boom, I got you now. Right? You asked me where I'm from. I didn't ask you where you're from. Oh, I'm from, Miami, Florida, born and raised Toronto, Canada. I'm literally in Vegas for like 4 hours. I have to do something quick. Now I know. I just brought up, oh, he's in Vegas for 4 hours. What the fuck's he in Vegas for 4 hours? I'm saying this shit, like I know what's happening here in a conversation, right? Yeah. Because I understand people. I'm just giving them an example. She's gonna ask me like, what are you doing in Vegas for 4 hours? Boom, I got you now. And the second one, oh, I'm just going, here to train a, sales team how to go from 5 figures to 6 figures a month, and that how they can scale internationally and globally, where they just don't have to work in Vegas because, the pandemic was hard. So I'm teaching a little bit people different methods where they don't have to be centralized at a Starbucks here, work here, and they can scale up their business anyhow, anywhere. I know, third question to be like, oh, well, what do you mean by an online? I got you inside of it. Because I know how to bring up things that's kind of be like, you have to come in conversation with me. Yeah. So I turned a cold situation into a warm situation very fast. That's what great sales reps do.
That's good.
Right.
Last question. With the way you speak, right? Super fast, right? High energy. Do you do that?
No, people just think slow, bro.
But do you do that? Yeah, you're normal. They're slow, right? So what do you think about, do you do that in all your sales calls or do you mirror? Like, how do you do it?
It's a good question. I sell easy.
Well, let me add to this too. Like everyone's got their own swag and their own personality. So how do you mix all that together?
Dude, I'm just showing off right now. That's fucking anybody on Instagram. No, I think sales is different. When people watch people train, it's, that person's not selling like the way they train. There's a difference. Like, if you watch me in any single sales environment, it's calm, cool, collective. Again, going back to the chameleon. Like, when somebody's like, man, you got such high energy on stage or on a podcast, I'm like, well, dude, you hired a fucking sales trainer. Do you want me to come on here and say, like, how's your day going today? You don't expect that from a sales trainer. So it's like, I know what I got to do in certain situations. You're hiring me as
a chameleon.
Yeah, you're hiring me as a sales trainer, bro. You're not hiring me to sell one person now on stage. You're hiring me to train, motivate, and give tactics to your team. And by the way, the only way I can give tactics to them if they stay awake with me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, I know exactly what environments I'm in. So I think just going back into sales, I sell easy, right? I'm calm, cool, and collective with majority of buyers because I want to talk to the person. It's a conversation.
You got to listen more.
Listen more, of course, 150%, and just match where they're at. And even if it's somebody high intensity, usually, I think a great sales rep pulls back and that person starts understanding. Like your job as a sales rep is to do one thing: slow it down so they can speed it up. That was
so
the
you
whole
don't
conversation.
match intensity. You will come back.
Come back, yeah, of course. I think a great sales rep can slow it down and allow the prospect to speed up the conversation.
What if you got a slow prospect? What will you do?
You match them with where they're at, and then you bring them back up slowly, right?
Get them excited.
And again, a slow sales rep, like whether it's a slow sales rep or a slow prospect, like you said, it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad conversation. It doesn't also mean they're going to be a bad sales rep. Like we don't trick introvert for lazy. When people are like, oh, I'm introverted, I don't know if I'm gonna be well at sales, or like I'm just quiet. I said, well, you can still be deadly. I have quiet sales reps that are very good at asking questions. Are you saying you're fucking lazy? There's a difference there.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between somebody saying, I'm introverted, and I'm saying, are you using that as an excuse to say you're lazy in sales? Because like you can be quiet, calm, cool, and collective and still be great at sales and ask the right questions. You can smash Daniel G probably because Daniel G was always high energy, and maybe they slipped on something, I didn't listen to them, so I'm selling them the wrong product right now.
Yeah.
That's not right for them. So never use introvert thing as an excuse to being great at sales, or even as a client. Like, hey, if a client's not talking to you, you can't be like, man, the clients, they're just super quiet. That's your fucking job to open them up. Talk to them a little bit more, open them up. That maybe they're giving you one-word replies. Sometimes we turn our clients into introverts. Like I've been introverted on a call with a sales rep, and I've been super, and you've probably been like this too. One-word answers, two-word answers. Yep, cool. But I'll walk around my office, put it on speaker, train the guys, and the guy's still fucking talking. Come off speaker. Yeah, man, no way. Put it back on speaker. And the guy probably thinks like Daniel G's like, man, it's such an introvert or whatever, just so quiet and stuff. But I mean, he didn't have the ability to say something that opened me up maybe. So now you literally just turned an extrovert into an introvert on a sales call.
Do you think that, I mean, my opinion has always been you should only talk 20% of the time and ask good questions. What do you think?
Flow is much better. We're conversationalists. Like, I like percentages. It's great. Talk 20% and 8%. Be honest. Again, like, a rep can't do calculations and all this shit. It's like, you're just fucking, like, at the end of the day, whatever people want to say that sounds good. Again, in books, Pareto principle is great. I think it works great inside of life. But the goal of a conversation, be in a conversation. That's what sales is. Be in a conversation. So what did I say rapport was? Process of engagement. Dude, you had a shitty ass conversation if, they were just talking and maybe you couldn't provide any advice because they talked too much.
Right.
So now you're trying to jockey for conversation, right, to talk. And you're trying to battle to talk now. So like, again, a good conversation is just flow. You're talking, they're talking. It's back and forth, man. It's just, all it is flow. It's like, if I think one of my guys once came up to me in my office and he's like, man, look at this conversation with this girl. I'm trying to go out with her. I said, dude, what are you doing? And he's like, what? I'm like, you're probably right. You're on the cusp right now of getting ghosted. He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, you're right there. Like, one more fucking of those paragraph messages, she's out. She's not messaging you for another 4 days, right? She's not busy, by the way. She's not busy. She's not Donald Trump. She's not busy. She's not ghosting you. Okay? She's ghosting you. She's not, like, she has a million other things that she's prioritizing. Why did I tell him that? I said, dude, because look at all your messages. Then she said, okay. And then you messaged her another million fucking times. I'm like, you're about to get ghosted. You're out of rapport. And that's physical. You could see the process of engagement is bad. So as a sales rep, when you're emailing somebody, you're texting somebody, or you're voice noting somebody, see how responsive it is, because you might be getting ghosted soon or whatever the case is. Even in a close, like, I'm never going to close somebody. I'm never going to go in for a close if there's no ebb and flow of conversation. Like, I don't feel comfortable going in for a close. I'm just like, whoa, we haven't been talking right now. What am I doing going for a close? It's like going for a kiss on a date and she's been silent. That's how stupid it would be. So people, it's like, then you kiss and she's like, I don't kiss on the first date. Nope, lie. She does kiss on the first date. It's just that the date was shitty.
Yeah.
Right? She was quiet. You just went in for the close. Hey, they didn't talk to you. And now you're going in for the close and you're like, well, the price is too high, Ryan. Maybe we should lower the price. Dude, the person didn't talk to you the whole time and you just gave them the price. Of course. Right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're doing what you're doing, right, like the yas and the Ks and okay, and I'm in a sales conversation with you right now, I'm probably not going to go in for the price because I'm like, this guy's just saying, okay, I got to pull back right now. Like, Ryan, hey man, after everything I just talked about, tell me, dude, like, what do you think's in it for you? You think now's the right time? Just pull it back in. Just start asking questions where he has to sell you. And if you can, don't even talk about the close. Right? And
I would think that most people who are giving one-word answers are being asked the wrong questions.
Correct. Right.
Instead of saying, so how do you feel about everything? Oh, it's good.
Right.
No, so just tell me, like, what are some of the things that you're most excited about?
Correct. Share some feedback.
Yeah.
Give me some feedback. Different word than, hey, do you like what I just showed you?
Exactly.
Yes or no? Hey man, give me some feedback. I want to see if this is even going to be right for you, right? Yeah. I need some feedback from you. Whether or not, hey, Ryan, you and I partner up, feedback's always good for us.
Yeah, right? It can help me help the next person.
Hey man, yeah, cool, okay. And then like, even, and some people do high ticket sales, like, it's not just the question you ask, but it's the way you ask the question. Like, are you actually interested for feedback? Like, how's your body language when you ask that question? Like, are you just like, you're like, yeah, man, and you're trying to like rush the feedback? Or like, maybe do you grab like, just a cup and just lean back a little bit? And now I'm showing you I'm ready to listen. Maybe like how is even like when they give you the feedback, are they like, do they feel good when they talk to you giving you that feedback?
Yeah.
Like, are you in listening mode?
Is it sincere?
Is it sincere? Are you in listening mode, etc.? So yeah, I think that's important too. Like, just the way you ask the questions, your body language, everything plays into factor. That's why there's not one secret.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's just a matter of doing the right things over and over again, getting experience,
listening
intuition,
to people,
listening, just knowing how to handle the curveballs. There's a lot to it, man.
Yeah.
Where do people learn to find out about it? How can they, work with
my
you?
social media is Daniel G is the easiest.
Okay.
Yeah, Daniel G. We don't say the last name, bro, because when you ask me the last name, I say most people don't know how to say Guaranya. So we put G as G, and then I'm like, shit, I got big shoes filled because G, I have to now just be known as Daniel G.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's difficult. It's just G, but I said, fuck it, let's work on the brand. So Daniel G, social media handles, Instagram, TikTok, social media, YouTube. That's it. Very simple.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Well, bro, I appreciate you coming to Vegas, man. We'll definitely have to get you at WealthCon.
Let's do it, bro, for sure.
We need the energy. Yeah, you don't need to come out there flat and just monotone.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah. I mean, you got a great audience. You got a very diverse audience. Likewise, even for me, like I think you should come out to some of our events because I have a big realtor audience. Big realtor, direct sales, door-to-door sales.
Yeah.
And I think what you do is, man, so great for salespeople. Like I can piggyback and do the same thing with you and ask questions for you to help salespeople because some salespeople they make a lot of money and it's their kryptonite.
They don't know what to do with it.
And it's not just that. It's also because they know they can make a lot of money, they fucking spend it.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest thing as a business owner, especially when you get good. Like my wealth manager lives here, Kurt. I'll be with him tonight. We talk about this 24/7. He's like, dude, the biggest problem with salespeople, and especially your salespeople, Daniel, is that you get them so fucking good that they know they can make it next month, that they'll spend it this month.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest kryptonite of anybody that gets so skillful. Like me, I said I have a lot of confidence. That was my biggest skill set. My biggest fallback when I was young as a sales rep was like, I know I can go make 50,000 next month. So let me blow 50,000. And that habit, that's habitual. So now when you get into business, that's dangerous because now you got payroll.
Yeah.
But before it was okay, dude, if I made 80,000 in a month in sales and blew 80,000 and put a down payment on a Lamborghini, it doesn't fucking matter, right? The payments are only $4,000, but you can't do that inside of business now. So I think what you're teaching important is not just like the mindset also behind like, hey, like knowing that you could do it is a blessing in disguise, and it's also a curse because, hey, you can make it. You also know that you're going to spend it, right? You can go to the casino and go blow it, but when you have a business, it's a different story.
Yeah.
And not just even when you have a business, you have to start thinking if you're an independent sales rep, treat yourself like a business because the future, the family is going to matter. So you can't be transactional anymore because now you got it and you could spend it. Well, maybe you don't have employees, so you don't have payroll. But think you will have future employees, which might be your family.
Yeah.
So learn how to keep this shit and grow it, right?
Yeah, your investments, everything.
Yeah. Well, Thank you, bro, for having me. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming out, guys. Go look up Daniel G on IG, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.